I'm Pat. Welcome to my YouTube channel, where I talk about all the crafty things I'm doing, which normally are fiber arts: crochet, knitting, cross stitch, sewing. And today I've got some updates for you. I've got a finished object, a couple objects nearing, well, one object nearing finish, and then a few other works in progress, and then some books I've acquired. So first off is my finished project. And it is some stray random item on it. It's the melt ice hat. Uh, I knitted it. Um, you've probably seen this on social media. I did one. I didn't like the fit of it, so I made the ribbing longer. Used a worsted weight thread that I just had on hand. I don't know the colorway. I don't know the brand. It's acrylic. I know that. There's the tassel. And then before doing the decrease, I don't know, 7 or 8 rows of stocking out before doing the decrease. I had posted a short about working on this. Was started in response to some of the things happening in Minneapolis. There is a crochet version as well. The yarn shop in Minnesota, that put this pattern out is called Needle and Skein, I believe. I'll link that below in my description. You can get the pattern off Ravelry or directly from their website for $5 for the crochet or $5 for the knit. Of course, you can buy both. And that $5 goes to organizations that are helping immigrant families in Minnesota. So it looks a little bumpy on the screen, but it doesn't look, I don't think it looks quite that bad. Also, I made it a little bit smaller, used US 6 or 7, whatever the pattern called for. I wanted it a little bit snugger on my head than the original pattern. It ended up a little too big for me, which may just be my knitting. And I encourage you to go look for the pattern. And I know there's some free patterns floating around out there, but please consider donating to help the cause. I haven't worn it yet because we are having some warm weather, and I don't go out a lot, but I will be wearing it. Next up, in the almost finished and also knitting, are my socks. Let me get them over here. This is my second pair of socks. I've done 2 pairs of house socks, but regular socks. This is the first sock. Excuse my nose is itching. Cuff down. Did afterthought, well, forethought heel. I'm getting second sock syndrome, but I'm trying to beat it. So here's where I've marked where my forethought heel is. And I'm finally to where I can start doing the decreases for the toe. I don't know if you can see how purple that is on the screen. The light's a little weird in here because we're having an overcast day. I've got a ring light set up, but I'm not sure how well this is showing up. This yarn is, this is the brand. I cannot pronounce that. Aroakana, I don't know. Husaka Sock Prism Prints. It is color 3010. Ethereal is the colorway. It's a sock weight is 75% superwash wool, 25% polyamide. I'm using Leica I think these are bamboo wooden needles, US size 1, which is a 2.25 millimeter. This sock fits, and this one seems to fit. I tried it on earlier. The best I can tell, it seems to fit. I keep having a problem of the socks I'm knitting are too big in circumference, so I've gone down on these. Most patterns seem to say you want 64. Well, I did 64 for the leg part, but then in the heel area, I went down to 56. That seems to fit my foot and the way I like it to fit. And even, so, and I've had some long discussions with other knitters about this as well, is a lot of it has to do with how you want your sock to fit. And I want a snug fit. I don't want my foot moving around in my sock. So I am going a little smaller than probably what the calculations would say I need, but it's what fits, because I did one pair and a cast on 64, and I did them, and they're really too big. I can wear them over another pair of socks, which sounds weird, but I wear compression socks some days, so they'll fit over compression socks or sock liners if you're familiar with hiking. But hopefully I will finish I don't know that I'm gonna finish it today. Because I've got like 2 more inches to do for the toe, doing the decrease. And then the Kitchener stitch to finish it off. I don't know if I'm gonna finish this today, but hopefully by tomorrow. I've been really happy with this yarn. It's very soft. And so hopefully by the next time I film, I'll have it finished and can tell you how they feel to wear. Next knitting is, this is not a great picture. It's a free pattern from Bernat Satin. It's called the 60 Squares Poncho, not a squancho. You can kind of see what it looks like there. It's kind of hard to see. Now, I didn't follow their colorway. I'm just following their pattern. It's done in big squares, and I am making mine with bright colors, that random bits of yarn. These are all acrylic worsted weight. I am using US 10 needles. That's one square. This is the square I'm currently working on. I'm doing it on circulars. These are Likey interchangeables, and I really like these. Are the wooden. I was using some metal tip ones. That's just some off-brand, but I really like these. I like the way they feel in my hand. And yeah, they're US 10, 6mm. Here's another square I did, and I've dropped something on the floor. Oh, that's the back of it. This is the front of it. It's just garter stitch. There's some stray threads there. Something's got. Okay. This is the neck. The neck I had to do some different things with because it wasn't turning out right. It was too small. So I've worked on, so what I did some changes and to add some, it's hard to see because it's such a dark blue. It's this dark blue. So I just did it in one color. I think you'd see it better if I held it up like that. That's more true to the color. It is, you start at one end and you increase. That's what these are done, like corner to corner. You increase and then you start decreasing. Well, this you have to do some shaping for the shoulders, and then you decrease and increase. Sorry, there's like bits of flotsam and jetsam and cat hair on it, to make the point and to leave the opening. And I ended up adding, I think, 4 extra rows here and here on both sides. I know when I go to join these together, I'm going to have to do some, some finagling to get them the right size. The pattern has 2 sizes. There's a large, there's extra small to extra large, is size 1, which says it fits 28 to 46 inches, and then 48 to 62 inches is the extra large, 2 extra large to 5 extra large. But the pattern, gosh, I wish my light was better. Sorry. Hopefully I can correct this. The pattern, the neck opening is not much bigger. It was like 2 stitches bigger or something. It was ridiculous. It was like, no, plus I just don't want it tight on my neck. So, but I'm working on that. And that's all I'm doing right now for knitting. I have other plans, but I want to finish these socks up first. Then cross stitch. I didn't bring one of my projects in here, but it's a small kit of a cat from DMC. I think I showed it last time. I haven't made a lot of progress on it. I worked on it some. But what I have made progress on is my big cat sampler. From 1826, Eliza Ann, 1826. So it's been 200 years since young Eliza Ann Edwards stitched this. And I've shown this before. It came from this book. It's a large book. This book was, I think, copyright 1961. Still messing up the color. American Needlework, Women's Day Book of American Needlework. And it doesn't just have cross stitch, it has knitting, crochet, needlepoint, rug making, weaving, candle wicking, applique, quilting, all kinds of things in it. And it's not just patterns, it's the editor, it says by Rose Wilder Lane, that she was the daughter of Laura Ingalls Wilder of Little House fame. Rose was also a writer. She was she's quite a fascinating person to read about. So this book tells about the history of different types of needlework in America. So in the cross stitch section, I think there are 6 or 8 patterns, and they're all samplers. And she talks about the different samplers. This is one I did earlier this year, or I did last summer. This was on a dark fabric. I did it on a cream colored, and I used bright colors for the sampler. It's not a very big one. This one's big. This one is, gosh, I don't know. I forgot the size. It's huge. You'll see in a second. It's quite large. So I've made quite a bit of progress on it, and I have some other updates on it. So I've shown before I was working on the border. So I've got all of this green on the border. There's 2 greens, but that's the main one. And I've got the pink, some of the flowers done. I've got the pink on this side and some of it across the bottom. But I finally finished all of this. I had done like this framework part, but I finished all of these little things. And I worked on the bottom some. I'm having to choose my own colors. I'll talk about that in a second. I don't know that the colors are showing up as bright on here as they are in person. Let me see if I can turn my light over here a little bit better. Okay, maybe that's better. That's a little bit better with my, maybe too much. Okay, but you can see. I put these trees in here. I've started doing, there's a basket above these trees. I also started, then I went to the top. I started working at some of the motifs at the top. And I got this done. This big flower. And what can be confusing is when you glance at the pattern, you think, okay, well, it's just symmetrical. That would make sense. It's not symmetrical. As you can see, this is a different flower than what's over here. But I'm quite happy with it. It's looking pretty good. I'm really enjoying doing it. Here is, let me show you. So there's these little bitty animals throughout. You can see there's a little bitty duck there. This is on 30 count, 2/2, except that little goose is 1/1. And here's my little bitty dog. This little bitty dog is 1/1. So you can see he's a tiny little, he's not even, he's like a half an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch long. And those are throughout the pack. So this was the best picture I had. This was what's in the magazine. I mean, the book from the magazine. And as you can see, I mean, it's hard to see. And the chart is difficult at times to read. And then there's some things, it's just charted wrong. The colors are just listed as green, pink, red. So I have to choose my own DMC colors, whether I want to or not. And there's been some where I stitched a section and then went, I don't like that color. I need a different shade of green or a different shade of pink. Well, the book said that the sampler was owned by the Brooklyn Museum in Brooklyn, New York City, New York State, New York, that part of New York City, but it was owned by the Brooklyn Museum. Of course, this book was written in 1961. Well, I went on the Brooklyn Museum has a fantastic website, and they have they have other samplers, and they have photos of what I assume is most of their collection, if not all of their collection, online. But I could not find this pattern. And finally, one night it dawned on me as I was falling asleep, why don't I write to them and ask them? So I did. And I wrote to them and explained about the book and what I was doing. And they said they no longer had the piece. They didn't say what happened to it. I've searched all over, so I don't know if it was perhaps sold to a private buyer. But museums do decommission pieces over time. They didn't say when they got rid of it, but they did have a photo of it. They did have a scan of it. And so I printed this. It gives, in some areas, more detail, but you can see that when they did this, it was disintegrating. You can't read her name and the date anymore whenever they took this photo, the scan of it. There's some things I can see better on here than what I can on here. Colors are still an issue. It actually looks different on my phone. The picture on my phone looks different than me trying to print it. It looks pretty similar, but it shows me some other options. Now, there are things like this little vase they call to do it in maroon, as well as the dark in these rugs. They're calling that maroon. I haven't chosen a color for that yet. I'm thinking more like burgundy for the little vase. There's some other things that I think the chart was incorrect on, and I've corrected. See these two little, the way these leaves go up on these two do look the same on here. They do not look the same on the chart. So I made them look the same on mine. But so yeah, so I've got to fill in some details down here. I still have this flower to do. And I've got some bits and pieces of things that are here to do. I said I've done both the trees. And also, if you start looking at this, it's not symmetrical. And like these trees don't line up across here, and neither do these. I'm not sure what I'm going to do in here yet. And these are like little angels and some other little birds. There's a little birds sitting on the house. These are bees. There's two little boys beside some flowers on each side. And I don't know what colors. The cat is done in like browns. I don't know what color I'm going to do the cats. How brown, or I'm thinking more of a golden or orangish color stripes for them. Then these two are the same, but they're not at the same horizontal. Go across the horizontal. They're not at the same point. And then there's another little piece. So anyway, I'm really enjoying doing this, and the museum was very helpful. This does help me. And like I said, I can see it. I can look at it on my phone. I can pull it up on my computer and zoom in on it if I want. It is hard to see because, again, I don't know when they took this photo, but the thing is now 200 years old. When this photo was taken, it was 140 years old, almost 155, 104 to 100, no, 135 to 140 years old when this was taken. And then this was taken, it's coming up on 200 years old. So I know colors shift. So whatever dyes they use could have shifted the color over time. So I'm kind of using my best judgment. And but I enjoy it. So yeah, so Eliza Ann is coming along. Eliza, and when I get to, hopefully I'll finish it this year because it was made in 1826. To finish it in 2026 would be great. And then where she has her name, that's a big area. I'm trying to figure out a way to put like my name and her name. If anybody has any suggestions, please drop them below. Do I say something like worked by Pat, 2026, reproduction of Eliza Ann Edwards, 1826. Should I want to do something like that. Then it has my name on it and it has her name on it. Probably will not put, I don't know that I'll put my last name, so my maiden name and my married ex name. But I may put my first name and my middle name. Or do I put her name and I want somehow it to say it's a reproduction, and then, not that I think anybody's going to look at it anytime soon and go, whoa, this is from 1826. I think you could look at it, no, it's not that old. But I kind of want both. Or do I put her name, her information, and then in like smaller letters, say reproduction of, and then her name in big letters and from 1826, and then maybe in small letters, my initials, 2026. I have time to think about it. That's like the last thing I'm going to do on it. If you have suggestions, though, please leave me a comment and let me know. And again, this book, I got it off of eBay. You can find copies on eBay. There's for 8 stitch patterns, 1 pattern's in this book. If you want all the patterns, you have to buy a separate box of patterns. And they come on these big sheets of paper that then you can photocopy to use. And let me see if it's here. And the text in here talks a lot about the pieces, and how these were popular motifs at the time. There's another big one. You can see that without too much glare. And it says friends must, I'm not sure, something about friends, although it knows not how to die. I may do this one, even though this is a lot of satin stitch. But again, this book, you see, there's a lot of text here. So if you're interested in historic samplers from America, there's quite a few here that were late 1700s, 1800s. And like I said, she talks, and even up to through the late 1800s. That one's from 1821. And there's different ones. Here's the one I was showing earlier. You can kind of see. They're quite, and the book, listen, the book talks about the different motifs. There's also needlepoint in here. Isn't that beautiful? I think that's lovely. But I could do that as cross stitch. I do recommend that. So that's all I'm working on. I have gotten a few books. Yesterday, I went to a nearby library for a group of people who cross stitch. They've been meeting up for 3 years. I just found them a few months ago. So it's just an informal group. We meet at the library, share food. Everybody stitches and talks about what they're stitching. And we have a free table, as I guess is kind of common. I had some patterns. It's like, I'm not going to stitch these. Let me share them with someone else. But I found this on the free table, and it's from a magazine. It says PNPS magazine, which I haven't looked up what that is. But anyway, it's from 2024, Teresa Vanetta of Shakespeare's Peddler. And it's just this it's called the Summer Sampler Fragment. I thought that was cute. It makes make a nice little pillow. It's not the whole alphabet. Just, it's like if you had a sampler and you cut half of it off. So I don't know if, like some other issue, they had the top half of the sampler, but anyway, I thought that was kind of cute. And to do as a small, I don't know how, it's 6 1/4 inches wide by 6 1/4 inches high. So it makes a nice, so I think I'll do that. I have some small scraps of fabric. I don't know what size what fabric she did it on. I have to be careful not to show you the pattern. It was done on 40 count. I've never worked on 40 count. 30 count's the highest I've worked on, so we'll see. Also, one day at the thrift store, I picked up this book about knitting, Entrelac, but it's doing that. It's um, the definitive guide from a bias knitter, so it's knitting on the bias, and it's I know I'm not ready to tackle things like this yet, but you can see it is by Gwen Bortner. Uh, so there's there's mitts, there's hats, there's purses, there's sweaters, um, a lot of diagrams about how to do these. There's one. So they're pretty. It was at the thrift store. I don't know. I think I paid less than $2 for it. This is like a suit for a child, even though I don't think you're supposed to buckle them out like that. Let's ignore the picture of the baby being buckled in, because the child's not buckled in properly, as we all know now. But it could be a nice little. Perhaps it's appropriate for sleep sack. The man's cardigan. So there's some really interesting things in here. And like I says, I'm not ready for that. There's a belted purse. I'm not ready for that yet. But for $2, I can look and drink. Then yesterday, when I was at the library I was at has a little bookstore of books that's been donated to them, and they raise money, and they sell their hardbacks for $2 and their paperbacks for $1. So of course I had to look. I did get a history book of history of women in the 1900s, but I got this book about knitting, color, and it's this book by Gwen Bortner. This is from 2010. This book is from 2009 by Kristin. Color by Kristin Nicholas. She has a website. If you search her name, you will find her. If you search Kristin Nicholas, you will find her website, and she's published some other books. It looks like she's sold out on her website, but it says how to design your own beautiful knits. But it's about color work, so it shows how to do it. She has a brief introduction of how to read a color work chart and how to do the color work. And this is like one of the, you can try to hold it up here and hope that you can see it. Isn't that pretty? These are different things. Starts off with some simple patterns that you don't have to worry about gauge. And she, is really big on, hey, do some swatches. If you can see that. She loves color. There's a lot of color, kind of a scrap work type. Most of the things in here are like that. And then in the back, there are numerous, she gives a lot of charts that you could use, so you can combine your own. She gives the chart for the color work, so you can combine your own. There's hats. She talks about color and how to choose colors, the importance of swatching. So you can, she's like, especially with color work, look to see, do those two colors go together? How does it look? As you can see, she did the same pattern, but she used different colors. Are they the same value? I haven't had much of a chance to look through it, but there's things in here like there's mittens, there's actual gloves with, separate fingers. But she starts off with like a scarf and a sampler scarf. And she also does a chill stopper, a draft dodger, a stuffed snake you used to put in your windowsill or at the bottom of your door to keep the draft out, keep the cold air out. Oh, well, you don't have water coming in your door or window. And she's like, you don't have to. It's a long tube filled with dried beans and then so closed at both ends, or you can stuff it with fabric or whatever to make you want it a little bit heavy, but not too heavy. So it's but looking through it last night, I'm really happy I got it. So again, that's color by Kristin, Nicholas, and I want to try color work. I want to try cables. The next few things on my list are cables, color work, and toe-up socks. And speaking of socks, another book I got, and this one I got at my local yarn store. Denise Desantis, she is the Earth Tones girl on YouTube. No Fear Sock Knitting. She published this book, I believe, 2024 or 2025. It's pretty new. And she goes into a lot of detail about, trying to see, it was published last year in 2025. It's hard for me to show it without showing you, I don't want to show her instructions, but you can see. She goes into a lot of detail about how to knit socks. She has 3 different ways to do toes. And heels, she has numerous heel methods. The toes, she has wedge toe, round toe, and anatomical. I can't say that word. You know what I'm saying. A toe shaped like your foot. So there's a left one and a right. Anatomy. And okay, let's just give up. But she talks about how to do heels and gusset, how to do a contrasting color in the heel, shadow wrap heel, picking up stitches, heel flap and turn. She covers different cuff options. She normally does cuff down, but she also discusses toe up, and she talks about the pros and cons of each. She has really good photographs about how to do toe up, and you can also go to her YouTube channel and watch her do these things. Lots of photographs, lots of detailed photographs. So I will leave a link below to her channel. She has how to measure your foot and make a template, or the foot of the person you're doing socks for. So I think this is a really good book about how to do socks. And I've already picked up a few tips from it about how to keep from laddering when using DPNs. And I'm referring to it today as I finish up the toes on my purple socks. Which her method is the same one I used here. I just need a refresher because it's been like a month. But I recommend this book. Check with your local yarn store, see if they have it, or if not, can they order it for you? I don't know. I didn't think to look at her website. You might be able to order directly from her as well. Or your local bookstore. If you don't have a local yarn shop, maybe you have a local bookstore, hopefully. I think that whoever this published is, so it's by David and Charles, whatever the company is that owns this publisher, my local yarn store told me they did have to order minimum of 15 books, I believe it was 15 or 20, not of one title, but so there was 2 or 3 of us who wanted this. So they got some of it, and numerous copies of this one, but then they picked up some other copies, and this same company also had the Vogue knitting books. My local yarn shop did not order the Vogue knitting book, the big one, that I borrowed from the library. I think I talked about that in my last video. And I'm still trying to decide if I want to buy it. I really do. I really think I do. If I'm going to do a lot more knitting, then I think it would be worth it. But also, I'm one of those people, when I start a hobby, I kind of go all in. I'm trying not to do that. So I think that's all for today. I appreciate you joining me. If you will, please like and subscribe. Let me know any comments. And like I said, if you have suggestions of my sampler, how to put my name and Eliza Ann's name on it, please let me know, because I don't want it to be overbearing. I don't want it to just, that's what stands out is the text, but I want to pay homage to the original stitcher, and also point out that it's my work, a is a interpretation of her. So I hope everyone's having a good February. Today is February 15th. I didn't say that at the beginning. Today is February 15th, so we're halfway through the month. And I hope that you're having a good month. And if you're in North America and or anywhere in the Northern Hemisphere, you're okay with all the storms that have been happening. And have lots of happy stitching. Thanks.